I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but my therapist keeps telling me that writing about our experiences helps us heal. So here I am, trying to make sense of everything that happened over the past few years. It all started at a local coffee shop in 2020, right when things were getting difficult for everyone. I was grabbing my morning coffee before heading to my software development job, which had recently gone remote. That's when I met her. She was struggling with the door, arms full of papers in her laptop bag, and I held it open for her. A simple gesture that changed my life. We started talking about how different everything had become. She worked as a pediatric nurse, and her stories about helping kids during such challenging times really moved me. I was 24, and she was 26, more experienced, confident, and had this way of making everything seem manageable even when the world felt like it was falling apart. Our first few months together were exactly what you'd expect during that time: video calls, watching the same movies while on the phone, and lots of takeout when we could finally meet in person. She had this way of finding joy in small things. We'd spend hours talking about random topics, from our favorite books to our childhood memories. I thought I had found someone special. We supported each other through rough patches. When I lost my job due to company downsizing, she was there. When she came home exhausted from long shifts, I made sure she had a warm meal waiting. We were a team, or at least I thought we were. Things started changing around our first anniversary. The first red flag was so subtle I almost missed it. She canceled our plans one evening, which wasn't unusual given her job, but something felt off. Her messages were different, shorter, more distant. When I finally convinced her to come over, she barely spoke during dinner. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. While she was sleeping, I checked her phone. I know it was wrong, but my gut feeling was screaming at me that something wasn't right. And there they were, messages with multiple people, not just friendly chats but plans to meet up, intimate conversations that started months ago. Some dated back to almost the beginning of our relationship. I called my best friend Marcus at 3 a.m., completely broken. He stayed on the phone with me until morning, trying to help me make sense of it all. When I confronted her the next day, she turned everything around. She cried, threatened to hurt herself, and somehow made me feel like I was the one who had failed her. That's when she suggested having an open relationship. She said it would help us grow stronger, that it was natural to want to explore. I was young, scared of losing her, and convinced myself that maybe this was how modern relationships worked. I agreed, thinking it might save what we had. Looking back, I can't believe I let things go that far. For 6 months, I watched as she dated other people while I sat at home, trying to convince myself this was normal. She started bringing up the idea of including other people in our relationship, specifically other men. My self-esteem was so low that I actually considered it. She moved in with me about a year into our open relationship. I thought having her closer would help me feel more secure, would give me some control over the situation. I was wrong. It only made things worse. Living together showed me exactly what I had gotten myself into. She started pushing boundaries even further, suggesting that some of her friends should move in with us. She spent less and less time with me, always busy with her phone or out with others. Our intimate life became almost non-existent. She always had an excuse or was too tired. I remember sitting alone in our living room most nights, wondering how I'd let my life turn into this mess. Marcus and my other friend Riley kept telling me I needed to end things, but I wasn't ready to admit defeat. I still hoped things would get better. Then something in me snapped. After almost 2 years of watching her live her life while I sat on the sidelines, I decided to play her game. I started going out more, meeting new people. I made dating profiles and started talking to other women. I made sure she saw the messages on my phone, just like I had seen hers that night. I started bringing women home, suggesting threesomes just like she had done with men. She got angry, really angry. She couldn't handle me doing exactly what she had been doing all along. The hypocrisy was unreal. I would come home late wearing different cologne, not telling her where I'd been or who I was with. One of the women I started seeing, Jade, actually developed real feelings for me. We connected on a deeper level, but I couldn't let myself feel anything real. I was too focused on getting revenge, on making my girlfriend feel what I had felt. When I realized I was using Jade just to hurt someone else, I did things with her. I didn't want to become the same kind of person who had hurt me. By early 2023, we were basically strangers living in the same house. We slept in different rooms, barely talked, and lived completely separate lives. My family hardly recognized me anymore. My sister came over one day and said I looked like a ghost of myself. She was right. I remember waking up one morning and looking in the mirror. I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. This wasn't who I wanted to be. I wasn't raised to be vindictive or cruel, even to people who hurt me. The revenge might have felt good for a moment, but it was eating me up inside. That's when I knew it had to end. We were both miserable, living this fake life that neither of us wanted. When I told her she needed to move out, she refused at first. She tried to manipulate me like she always did, saying I was throwing everything away, that I knew what I was getting into when I agreed to an open relationship. The argument got heated. She called me weak, said I was giving up. I reminded her that she gave up on us the moment she decided to cheat, and kept cheating even after I tried to make things work her way. All the pain and anger I'd been holding back came pouring out. I started gathering her things, everything she owned, down to the smallest items, and putting them outside. Things got ugly fast. She started pushing me, trying to force her way back inside when I was moving her stuff out. She called one of her boyfriends, who showed up ready for a fight. It turned physical, and I ended up with a bloody nose on my own front porch. The police came, and her boyfriend spent a few nights in jail. I pressed charges, something I never thought I'd have to do. The next day, she came back crying. She kept asking where she was supposed to go, trying to make me feel guilty. I told her she had plenty of options, all those other guys she'd been seeing, her friends, her family. I was done being her safety net. She got hysterical, bringing up all our good memories, the future we had planned. I stayed firm, telling her everything needed to be out by the end of the day. Marcus and his wife came over to help and support me. I'll never forget how they dropped everything to be there. While we were moving her stuff, she kept saying things like, "I hope you know what you're doing and you'll regret this." I just told her what I should have said years ago. This was long overdue. When she finally drove away, I felt empty. Not sad exactly, but not happy either. Just empty. I blocked her number and removed her from all my social media. Maybe it was extreme, but I even burned some of the things she left behind. I needed a clean break, needed to erase every trace of those years from my life. A month later, I heard through mutual friends that she lost her nursing job. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who had trouble trusting her. She had been stealing medication from the hospital and messing up patient records. The hospital started an investigation into everything she'd done wrong. I wasn't surprised. Someone who could lie so easily in their personal life probably didn't have many boundaries in other areas either. It's been several months now, and I'm still processing everything. Therapy helps. Writing this helps too. My first serious relationship turned out to be a complete disaster, but it taught me a lot. I learned about self-respect the hard way. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean letting them walk all over you. Most importantly, I learned to trust my gut. Those first feelings that something was wrong were right all along. If anyone reading this is in a similar situation, here's what I wish someone had told me. If something feels wrong in your relationship, it probably is. Don't ignore those feelings. Don't let anyone convince you that you're overreacting or that you're not enough. If someone cheats on you, that's on them, not you. And if someone keeps hurting you, it's okay to walk away. I'm not dating right now. I'm focusing on myself, rebuilding relationships with my family and friends, and figuring out who I am without all that toxicity in my life. Sometimes I think about Jade and feel guilty for how I treated her. I've thought about reaching out to apologize, but maybe some things are better left in the past. Last week, Marcus told me I'm starting to seem like my old self again. He said my smile is back. I didn't even realize it was gone. It's strange how you can lose yourself so slowly that you don't notice, and then find yourself again the same way. I don't regret the relationship entirely. It taught me what I don't want in life, and sometimes that's just as important as knowing what you do want. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. I'm learning to trust again, starting with myself. And maybe that's the most important lesson in all of this. Sometimes the hardest person to trust after being betrayed is yourself.